Good morning, students. Today I am going to teach you one of the important topic of writing skill for class 9th, which is story writing. A story is really important, and it's equally important that it needs to be planned well. To tell even a simple story, we require some practice, and to make it more interesting, we need to breathe life into it. As we all know, that writing a story is an art that requires a lot of creative thinking and planning. In this section, you will learn to write your own story which is original and is as per your needs. Story writing is really important as these stories are accounts of real or fictional incidences narrated in an interesting manner. But how to write a good story is really important. Now, with the help of this plot diagram, I would like to explain you how the plot of the story actually leads to the climax of the story. In this diagram, you can see there are some important components. The first component is exposition, the beginning of the story, where characters and setting are introduced. The next component is rising action, where main character faces a series of conflicts, which leads to the climax. Climax is the most exciting part of the story, when we learn about the outcome. The next important component is falling action, which actually tells us about the events that are leading to the ending of the story. The next important and the last one is actually the resolution, which means the end of the story. Here, I am providing you some of the important tips to write a good story. And for this, these are some of the important elements to make your story more realistic and fun. The first important thing is the title. The title of the story should be catchy and precise, but it should not convey the meaning of the story or what the story would really like to teach. The second important thing is the time and place setting, which actually means that the background of the story is to be told. The story can happen in a forest, in a classroom, or anywhere else in the world. It is possible for the story to happen in a totally imaginary place like a toyland or a fairyland. Again, you will need to detail the setting to make it more suitable to the plot and characters. The next important thing is character. The story has people, animals, or any other creatures in it. To add to a touch of reality, it is necessary to base them on a real life. Some stories have characters that are major, means the protagonists like Ram, Mohan, Richard, etc., while some supporting and minor characters like Ram's sister, Rohit's mother, Richard's brother-in-law, etc. Some stories are adventurous while others are fun. Some are scary while others are just to amuse the reader. The next important thing is the plot. The plot is the most important part, which is also called the storyline. There are a sequence or a series of action with a purpose or a reason why the story is told. Some stories have a moral or a message, while others have a usual ending or suspense. Which brings us to the next important element, which is dialogue. These characters in the plot must converse with one another. The next important thing is climax is the most exciting part of the story, which actually helps us to learn about the outcome. The next and the final one is the resolution, which is the end of the story. How is the story teaching us? What happens in the end, etc. An important note for students. Some of the stories really have, and now to ease you with some of the work, I have provided you some of the prompts so that you can start your original story. Some of these are: I was terrified to go school that day. As soon as I reached, until one day, because of that, once upon a time, and ever since then, it was a lazy summer. Just as I turned, until finally, every day. These are some of the prompts could be used in your original story. But students, that's not the end. I feel that my students should have the entire idea with this video how they can write a good story. But I feel I'm forgetting something. This code says open me. So let's check what it is. Alright, so this is your homework. Write an original story that concludes with the sentence, every cloud has a silver lining. While the second question says, on the basis of your knowledge, create a web chat presentation of the important elements explained in the video. Alright, that's not the end. You have to do these two exercises on a piece of paper which is to be submitted in your monthly assignment file.